Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ambassadors, and High Commissioners, principals, and representatives of regional economic communities and member states in the Southern Africa region, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let me extend to all of you compliments of the season and best wishes for the new year, as we all strive to adapt to the new way of life or the new normal in the wake of the spread of the coronavirus, and hope that we all take good care of ourselves. It is for me indeed a great pleasure to make a few opening remarks at the launch of the regional strategy for the Southern Africa region for 2020-2024. As we may be aware, the Southern Africa region is historically characterized by a dynamic movement of people, mostly driven by economic, cultural, and social factors. Currently, across the region, there are estimated 7.9 million international migrants, with about 75% coming from within the SADC region by way of intra-regional migration. The region also hosts almost 1 million refugees and over 335,000 asylum seekers. These diverse realities and dynamics need to be understood through the prism of multiple drivers that are often interconnected and therefore require a comprehensive and forward-looking approaches. Through its regional strategy, IOM aims to seize opportunities, respond to current migration challenges and newly emerging issues, and to contribute to the Sustainable Development Agenda, while equipping the organization to better support member states, migrant populations, and communities through collaborative approaches, including all of government and all of society approaches. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we will be launching the IOM strategy for Southern Africa, developed by the regional office in Pretoria in a widely consultative approach with SADC and member states, and I want to thank Charles Quinini for leading the process. This document builds on IOM's global strategic vision and continental strategies, while being firmly anchored in the migration realities and the development priorities of member states in the Southern Africa region. I wish to underscore that migration is critical for development, hence the integration of migration in the SDGs as a development enabler. The 2030 Agenda, the Global Compact for Migration, the African Union Agenda 2063, regional protocols and conventions on migration and development, which include the African Union Migration Policy Framework for Africa, the African Union 2015 Declaration on Migration, and other relevant continental and regional frameworks and conventions, will all constitute the broad framework for IOM's work at the regional and also at country levels. I am therefore very delighted to note that the African countries, all with the exception of one country, are member states of IOM, and it is my pleasure to acknowledge IOM's broad footprint with offices in about 50 of the 55 African countries. I am even more delighted to note that all the SADC countries are IOM member states with IOM presence in all the SADC countries, with the exception of Seychelles, which enables IOM to provide quick, effective and timely support to governments, member states, migrants, and, of course, host communities. Through the regional strategy, IOM reaffirms its commitment to the principle that humane and orderly migration benefits migrants and society, that migration is a critical development enabler through its support to the mobility dimensions of the African Union's regional integration agenda, the Southern Africa Development Community, the Indian Ocean Commission, and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. The regional strategy is being launched at a time when the coronavirus has taken center stage with its spread in all regions across the world. Hence, the regional strategy takes into consideration the interrelationships between migration and health, as the impact of pandemics such as the COVID-19 on migration and on human mobility has significant impact on migrants and people on the move, as they find themselves exposed to the virus with limited tools to protect themselves. Furthermore, the border closures and other movement restrictions to curb the spread of COVID-19 have had a severe impact on international migration and on human mobility, as many migrants and people on the move find themselves trapped in deeply dangerous situations. According to the United Nations Department of Social Affairs and Economic Affairs, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic severely disrupted all forms of human mobility, including, of course, unavoidably, international migrations. Preliminary estimates suggest that by mid-2020 the pandemic may have reduced the growth in the stock of international migrants by around 2 million. The pandemic is projected to cause a decline of 14% in remittance flows to low and middle income countries by 2021 compared to pre-COVID-19 levels. In this regard, I wish to assure you that within the framework of the regional strategy, IOM is committed to support the RECs and member states, governments and migrants and host communities in a number of areas of priority to governments and host communities, including addressing both policy and operational challenges of migration at the national and the regional level. The regional strategy also includes a migration outlook for the region, highlighting trends and challenges that impact migration and displacement, and this will be presented to you during the course of this launch. I would like to highlight, nevertheless, a few of key areas. First, the aspirations of regional integration is definitely a driving force behind the regional strategy, as migration and mobility have always been part of the social fabric of Southern Africa societies. This, coupled with economic and social-cultural factors, are important drivers behind intra-regional migration. Labor mobility constitutes the largest trend, including the movement of migrant manpower towards natural resource-dependent sectors such as agriculture, mining, and fisheries, along with manufacturing, textiles, and hospitality. It is therefore important to ensure a rights-based approach that responds to the protection needs of migrant workers, their families, and the host communities as well. Secondly, while intra-regional migration is a predominant characteristic across the region, irregular migration remains, of course, a major concern, with both smuggling and trafficking standing as significant factors in the region, as instability and conflict continue to incite mass displacement within countries and across borders. At the same time, population growth, environmental change, natural resource depletion, and a notable increase in the frequency and intensity of disasters contribute to accelerating urbanization and migration. These risks and vulnerabilities intersect to potential render rural livelihoods untenable and some geographic areas largely uninhabitable. Third, global health security remains a priority in this region in consideration of the limited capacities to prevent, detect, and control international public health concerns and response to outbreaks. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided further evidence regarding the need to enhance cross-border health and assist member states in increasing technical capacity for our preparedness, response, and cooperation within and across borders, along with the need to integrate migration into the broader socio-economic response. In conclusion, Migration has major impacts on people and places. Well-managed migration can contribute to inclusive and sustainable development in countries of both origin and destination. I would like, therefore, to seize this opportunity to commend the SADC and its 16 member states for taking a bold step towards developing a regional migration policy framework to enhance migration governance in the Southern Africa region. In the spirit of our strategic partnership with SADC and its member states, I would like to assure you of IOM's commitment and support as we stand firm, willing and ready to support the SADC and its member states in their efforts to manage migration in a manner that is sustainable and beneficial to countries and migrants alike. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, migration is cross-sectoral, multifaceted and transnational. We will only be able to harness its developmental potential and address the challenges related to it when we take the necessary step to address the full spectrum of this growing phenomenon in a comprehensive manner. I look forward to the successful launch of the regional strategy for Southern Africa, and I thank you for your kind attention.